I'm going to say what's going on, everyone. What's going on? How you doing today? Welcome to another episode of No More Hiding Podcast, where we're dedicated to revealing authentic manhood and empowering men to live their best lives. I'm your host, Dr. St. Rice, and today we're taking a deep dive into the heart of our ministry. Right? And today is just me, right? Today is just me, and we're going to have a conversation that I've been wanting to have for a while. I know that over these last 2 years, I've always had guests here, but I've always wanted just to have a conversation where it just centered on a conversation on why no more hiding. Why no more hiding? So that's our conversation today. Understand in today's world, many men find themselves struggling with identity, purpose, and authenticity. They're hiding behind many masks, afraid to show their true selves or confront the challenges of life that are before them. That's where No More Hiding Ministry comes in. And today we're pulling back the curtains to share our story. I'm gonna be transparent. I'm gonna open up and talk a little bit today about my journey and how I got to this space and what's the motivation behind No More Hiding. In this episode, we'll explore the origins of No More Hiding and what inspires the creation of this ministry. We're going to talk about our mission and how to improve men's lives with holistic rehabilitation and rehabilitation. We're going to try to create a safe space and understand how we're trying to create that safe space for authentic conversation for men across the United States and globally. And also, we're going to talk about some real stories of transformation and growth from our own community. So whether you're a longtime follower or whether this is your first time, I want to thank you for joining me. I want to thank you for being here and being present. That means a lot to us. Remember, you can find us in our resources at www.nmh4men.org. You can enjoy this podcast every first and third Thursday of the month, and we just look forward to having this dialogue. Whatever you're looking at us through, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, on our website, YouTube, we look forward to having you join this conversation. So, without further ado, I'm going to jump into some questions, and many times I get questions. I get emails from individuals who are asking me questions related to who I am. So the first question I'm going to join in is I'm going to ask the first question that was asked was who is Dr. St. Rice? And I can say that this is probably a complex question to answer. I am a Black man first and foremost, and I'm very proud of being a Black man. I'm also a husband. My wife, Dr. Lavetta Rice, is always beside me, and so together she and I, we do the work of No More Hiding and some other things in this community. I'm a proud father, and I have a total of 3 biological children, and so I'm a proud grandfather as well, and enjoy spending time with them. I'm an educator. Education has always been a passion of mine, even when I didn't recognize that it was a passion. Right. I'm also an advocate for justice. I've spent 20 years working in the criminal justice system, primarily in the courts, drug courts, the prison systems, the halfway houses. Did a lot of training, development, and leadership in that space. And then currently I work in higher education systems. So I understand and I see these systems. I see all these different systems that exist. These systems that play a part in how we as society are shaped. And I recognize that these systems impact us as Black people. It impacts our community tremendously. I'm also a Christian. So I'm very proud of my Christianity. I'm proud of the fact that I am a child of God and that I have a relationship with God that goes way back since I was a young man, and saved, and thank God for salvation coming into my life. And I was probably about maybe about 11 and 12 at the Greater Pentecostal Church of God. At that time, it was Pentecostal Church of God. I'm also a minister of the gospel, and I'm proud of being a minister of the gospel and being able to share that gospel message to individuals throughout the world. And I guess lastly, who is St. Rice? He is a man. He's a man who's out there trying to be a bridge for other men who are trying to come out of a place of hiding. So I'm thankful for that question. Who sent the question in and asked who is Dr. St. Rice? Now, there's some other things that maybe Dr. St. Rice he's not that proud of, right? And we'll probably get into some of that dialogue a little bit later on as I answer some of the other questions that was brought to us. So we're going to go to the second question. Second question, and feel free to drop in your questions. Feel free to shoot. You can shoot us a question. This is a live conversation, or if you're viewing a recording of it, feel free to shoot us an email at NMH4Men at gmail.com, NMH4Men@gmail.com, or you can leave us a message. You can shoot us a message on our website, www.nmh4men.org. All right. So the second question that was asked of me, it was sent in, is share your personal experience or observation that led you to co-found No More Hiding Ministry. What was the specific moment or realization that sparked this initiative? And I got to say that No More Hiding is actually like the third iteration of the men's ministry that was placed down inside of me. I shared with you all just a minute ago that I worked in the criminal justice system. But growing up in a space where sometimes it was challenging to find examples of what a man of men, or finding men who were constantly present in the lives of young men. I thank God for my dad, who was a part of my life. And my stepdad, and so he's my dad, the only man that I've known since I was 2, and so I call him my dad. And so I thank God for him. But he was a man who worked a lot. And so, and then growing up in the church, sometimes we saw men and sometimes they made promises, but then they didn't keep those promises. So it was important for me as I was out there seeking for this example of what men were. And so I started working in the prison systems, and I noticed all these men who were having these challenges, and just in this space. And probably it started before that, because I worked at Division of Youth Services while I was in college in Southeast Missouri State. And I started working with some young guys, some juveniles who were involved in the juvenile justice system. And so that probably became the first iteration of No More Hiding, and it was MOS, or Men of Standard. And so I remember, because I remember a brother helping me to design the backdrop. And you had 2 soldiers that was carrying one another, what have you. And so and through MOS, I started doing some work with the men who are incarcerated. And while working with those men who are incarcerated, we started this thing called Man Talk. And then there's another organization that has taken that mantra, but this Man Talk would meet with those men early in the morning, because many of them have just been released from incarceration. And while they were locked up, they were cool, right? And not that prison, is stress-free, because it really isn't. But they didn't have to deal with the stresses of life, nor deal with their addictions and things of that nature. But once they were released, they started to feel the pressure that exists in their life. So, and so I would meet with them early in the morning, go in early before work and meet with these men. And we would have this thing called Man Talk. And we would talk about all these different issues that they were dealing with, temptations and things of that nature. And so that began the first iteration of No More Hiding. But the second part was under the leadership of Bishop Terrence Coleman at Greater Pentecostal, and he and he deputized me and a couple other brothers who started this youth ministry called Men Mentoring Men. And Men Mentor Men was an awesome ministry, because most of those young men who were part of that, even though their parents were in church, they could care probably less about church. And so they, those young men were put up under our care, and some of them we knew would probably end up incarcerated, and unfortunately we did lose some of them to the streets, and they died. They were killed violently or what have you. But working with those young men helped me to see some things about manhood, and the importance of mentorship, the importance of having a consistent man in our lives. Right, and working with them and being able to have those hard dialogues with them, and they teaching me things about their age group, and really understanding, how those things play a part, and so those were the first iterations of No More Hiding, and how those things came about. What was the specific moment of realization that sparked this initiative? I got to be honest, it was a personal experience in my own life. I lost my brother, my biological brother, and I lost 2 brothers. One was of blood, meaning we shared the same mother, but one was not of blood. And the one that was not of blood was James Henderson. Lost him tragically. It was a sudden, and I call it tragic because it's so sudden. just losing them and getting that call that morning and getting a call from my other brother, Roy, who was in Texas at the time. And when I picked up the phone, he told me, he was like, man, our brother gone. I'm like, wait a minute. He just called my phone, not knowing that that was our niece that was calling me to let me know that they was rushing James to the hospital. And I don't remember traveling to the hospital. All I remember was just making it, to St. Louis University. And when I walked in there, I saw him laying on the bed, and they still had the tubes and all the other things inside of them. And so, and for me, that was such a blow, because James was such an important part of my life. He was an important part of my existence, and how and just we have been friends. All of us have been friends, since we were younger and growing up in the youth department and all that other good stuff. And so, losing him was devastating. But even then, I didn't recognize, because I got to be honest, I was being successful. I was out there. I was completing degrees. I have several degrees. As somebody who know me, right? And so I'm promoting up on the job. I'm doing all these great things or whatever, but living empty and living in this place of hiding. I'm probably on my third marriage at this time as well, and so and just in a place where, quite honestly, it wasn't, on the outside looked good, but on the inside I was hurting. And then my biological brother DeAndre passed away. I got that call the night before Easter, 6 years ago, and it was March 31st, as a matter of fact. And got that call from my mom, and would have never expected that call, because everyone was supposed to be coming to the house. And I told you all, this is just raw. This is a raw conversation. You're gonna get a chance to actually know where No More Hiding comes from and why this is such a passion for me. Right. And so and my mom asked him to come to the house at that time. I get to the house and she just lays the news on me that my little brother had just overdosed. And having to go through that experience, right? Going the next day to identify his body, walking through the burial, going through all of this, and seeing my brother laying there, and all I saw was me. And I knew at that moment that I needed to get into counseling. I need to really do it. And I remember telling my mom that that was me. That was me laying there. Although I wasn't on drugs and things of that nature, my drugs was trying to chase individuals. It was chasing goals and dreams and things like that. None of those things which would fulfill me, right? And so I'm going through my own period of counseling, personal counseling, and dealing and digging out things and pulling off masks and dealing with hurt and all those other things that many times we as men, we feel so ashamed of experiencing, and really pulling off those scabs that really hadn't even grown. They hadn't healed correctly. And so, and while I was going through that period, I was looking in the Word of God, and I went back to Genesis, and I saw where Adam went into hiding. And the reason why he went into the hiding in Genesis 3rd chapter is because he felt shame. He felt failure. He felt all these feelings he was never born to feel, right? He was never created to feel these things. He was always supposed to be in this perfect relationship with his creator. He was supposed to be in dominion. He was supposed to be on top, right? And now he was dealing with all these things, and it caused him to go into hiding. But the only way that he could come out of hiding was that he come forward and he be transparent before his creator. It wasn't about being transparent in front of his wife. It wasn't about being transparent to friends. It wasn't about being transparent to his job. It was about being transparent to his creator. And his creator was the only one that could actually, help him come out of this place of hiding. And the thing I loved about it was, even though God knew that Adam was in this place of fallen state, he didn't stop looking for him. He came looking for him. And so by understanding that and getting a revelation that no matter what the situation, no matter how many failures and things of that nature, that God is still present, and that I could come out of hiding. And as I was coming out of hiding, God deputized me to help other men come out of hiding. And so that was part of the moment that sparked, or sparked this initiative to really want to create and really want to invest in this ministry that is not just a ministry, but it's a life purpose. So That answered that question. Thank you for the one who sent that question in. I appreciate you, sharing that with me. So we'll go to question number 3. I got quite a few questions that individuals have brought in, so I'm gonna answer these questions as they have come in. So this question came from someone. They said the name "No More Hiding" is quite powerful. Can you elaborate on its significance and how it relates to the challenges men face today in society? And so, yes, "No More Hiding" is powerful, right? It is a very powerful name, right? Because what it does is it's an action. When you're talking about no more hiding, you're talking about from going from where I am to where I need to be, right? When you're talking about no more hiding, you see someone, right? And when we were kids and we were playing a game hide and go seek, and somebody would say, come out, wherever you are, right? The only way that you could get to home base, because you were in a hiding state, but the only way that you can get safely on home base is you have to come out of your hiding. And that's the power of no more hiding. When we're talking about it, right? What we're doing is we're giving men permission. We're creating a safe space for men to be able to come out and be able to find themselves, be able to find their voice, to be able to find, their identity. And oftentimes, as Black men, because we can go way back, right, crossing over the Atlantic, the enforcement of slavery, we can go through the period of slavery and the Reconstruction period. We can go through all these different genres, all these different generations, right? And society has really pushed men to want to go in hiding. Not only society, but our own choices, things of that nature, right? And our own choices, our own decisions, things like that have brought us in a place where we feel like hiding is the best option, right? But the significance of it, right, is understanding that we don't have to live in this place of hiding. Hiding is a choice. It really is. Hiding is a choice, just like restoration, just like healing, just like finding wholeness and finding my voice, things like that. That's a choice. And being able to meet challenges head on mean that I have to be willing to be open. I have to be willing to be transparent. I have to be willing to make some changes. I have to be willing to do the things that's necessary for me to be the man that I know that I was created to be, right? And so no more hiding. It does challenge me. It challenges men, right, to look outside of just my role as a father, my role as a husband, my role as a worker, my role as whatever identity I may call myself from, right, and actually look to the core of who I am as a man. Actually go into the core of who I am and actually have these hard conversations, right, and make no more excuses for who I am. Make no more excuses for the things that have happened to me. And trust me, right? There are a lot of things that happen to us. I am not minimizing by no shape, form, or fashion what happens to us as men, right? If I look at my own life and I try not to do the trauma stories and all that other stuff, right? But if I look at my own life and I think about not having a relationship with the man who sowed the seed that brought me to this space, right? Not making the proper decisions and things of that nature, and being in position actually to actually find success, but making the decision to do the opposite. Oftentimes those things will cause us to feel ashamed and feel guilty of who we are. But no more hiding provides a safe space for us to come out of that place. So that's why it's significant. That's why this work is very significant, and it's significant for all ages. So, all right. So thank you for the one who sent that question in. I'm not sure exactly who, but that was one of those ones I was like, man, that's a really challenging question, but I thank you for it. So we're gonna go to the third question, right? To our fourth question, right? The fourth question. And if you have any questions, if you're watching this, feel free to shoot us a question. If you're looking at us live right now, right, shoot a question. Feel free to email us, www.nmhformen.org, or you can email us at nmhformen@gmail.com. We'll engage in conversation. This ministry is live and breathing. It's not something that we just do on the first and third, but it's actually we really want to engage in this dialogue. So question number 4 says NMH mission statement mentions holistic habilitation, rehabilitation, and re-engagement. Could you break down what each of these mean in the context of your work with men? Right. So this is a really good question, and whoever brought this question, man, you right in my heart, you're in my mind. So when we think about this idea of rehabilitation and habilitation, I was just talking to someone about this. So many times, and I told you I worked in the criminal justice system, worked in drug courts, and we talked about rehabilitation, and they talk about rehabilitation in the prison, right? But oftentimes, individuals have not been rehabilitated. Let's just be honest. In our society, we have men who have not even been introduced to the proper identity of what a man is. They've not been introduced to, they've not been introduced to what it takes to be a man. They've not been supported going through the stages of life, from childhood to being a child, being a preteen, being a teenager, being a young adult, right? And oftentimes we don't have those guys. We don't have those mentors. We don't have those positive individuals who are in our lives that will help us. And oftentimes we are having challenges. We're having challenges in those spaces. We're having challenges with the things that's going on. And I think someone just sent a message, said that we're having, the sound is distorted and we're freezing online. I'm not sure exactly what's going on. I don't know if it's the internet that's happening or what, so I have no idea. So we'll see. Hopefully everything works out. We're just send a prayer that the internet acts right. And so we don't have individuals who are there present in our lives that are help us. So when we're talking about habilitation, right? Habilitation is actually taking that person, and starting from scratch with them, right? Help that man to be able to start to identify what's necessary for his growth. Right. Rehabilitation is taking that man back to a state that once was. And some men, we shouldn't go back to the state that once was, because that state that once was is actually not a good place for us to be in. Right. We need the holistic habilitation. That means mind, body, soul, the whole part of us has to be rehabilitated. The whole part of us has to be touched in some way that will help us to recognize, that who we see before us, who society says that we are, who the individuals say that we are, is not truly who we are at all, right? And so that's that idea of rehabilitation. And when we're talking about re-engagement, sometimes because of what we go through, we are detached, right? We get detached from our families. We get detached from society. Some men who have been incarcerated become detached from in society in that space. So it's about re-engaging. It's about having those hard conversations and having those dialogues that are important, to being able to make sure that man has a safe space to be present, right? And so how do we re-engage? We re-engage them through cognitive development, rehabilitation, how I think, right? So start with how I think as a man. How I think drives how I act. It drives how I feel. So we want to re-engage that man through his thinking. We also want to re-engage him with his family. In particular, if he has children, re-engage him with his children. It's okay, right? You might have missed a little bit. You might have missed a year or 2 years or whatever the case is, but that's all right. We want to re-engage that man to his purpose, which is critical. If a man does not understand what his purpose is, then challenges, he's going to continue to go through life following other people and following all these different mindsets, and following all these individuals who say, follow me here, go to the right, go to the left. He's going to follow fads. He's going to follow styles. He's going to follow media. He's going to follow false teachings, all these other things. But if that man understands who his purpose is, what his purpose is, then he has a gate and re-engagement with himself, with his creator, that cannot be broken. It cannot be destroyed because there's something there that helps him to recognize who he is as an individual. And so when we're talking about the mission of No More Hiding, we try to take that holistic approach of re-engaging that man and helping him to find who he should be, who he was created to be. Thank you for sharing that question to us. We knew that we probably wouldn't be on here all night tonight. We're going to do one more question. All right, we're going to answer one more question, and then we're going to call it an evening. All right. So we're going to let's see. So someone asked, can we share a success story, a particular impactful moment that illustrates the transformative power of No More Hiding approach? Yeah, I think we can. Man, without naming names, I'm thinking about a gentleman who came into my life some years ago. And this gentleman was angry. This gentleman was frustrated. Quite honestly, he was bitter. He was upset about life and situations, and just for real, didn't trust anybody. And I recognized this. I saw that this was his state, this was his existence. And so I didn't push him. I didn't, I wasn't, I didn't cross over boundaries and things of that nature. I just became present, right? What does that mean? You became present. That means that when I saw him, I would just talk to him. How you doing, man? How things going today? And over a period of time, I can tell that he was starting to warm up to me as an individual. And so once I kind of recognized that he was warming up, then I, started to find out about who he was. Started asking questions about his childhood. Started asking, what are his likes? What are his dislikes? Who is he as a man? And having those conversations with him. And so through having those conversations with him, I started to gain his trust, right? And by gaining that trust, then he started to open up about more issues, right? Not only did we talk about issues, we also start talking about where is it that you want to go? Where do you see yourself? What's your goals? And having those conversations with him from that space really helped me to help him, because most men are goal oriented. And we're only going to sit and talk for just a little bit of time before we're like, okay, I got to do something, and so how can you help me get to where I need to go? And so together we sat down, we started working on a plan, but he recognized, and I told him, I said, look, you got to work the plan. I can help you sit down and understand it, but you have to work the plans, and recognizing that you got some barriers against you. You got some strikes, but those strikes don't have to hold you back. They don't have to stop you from being successful to where you want to go in life. He didn't have the relationship he wanted with his children. Although he at that time he wasn't dealing with drugs or anything else like that, but he did have a history of some addiction. And so by sitting down and actually taking the time to walk with this brother, introducing him who his identity was in Christ, helping him to understand, these are the strategies, these are the steps, that you want to take, and not just giving them just a lecture, but actually walking with them through the situation. And I'm so proud to say that right now, this brother now has, I think he might have 2 master's degrees. He has a really good career. He's bought his own house. He's married and has children, and is doing very well for himself. And it wasn't the fact that what we did, right? It was the fact that what he was willing to do and how we were willing to partner with him in order to find that success that he was looking for. And really, it was just being present. It was about being in the space and trying to make sure that we supported, where he wanted to go in life. And I think that's the case with most men. No, most men don't want to be told where they, they don't want to be told what to do and all this other stuff. They want to be listened to. They want to be heard. And then as they're heard and listened to, then they listen back. And as they're listening back, they start to say, okay, wait a minute, that makes sense. They also want to see that you actually put in your work, the things that you say do, that you're actually doing them yourself. and that you actually, exemplifying what it means to, to put the work in. And most of them gonna say, okay, or you acting like you've never done anything, or you acting like everything is good on your side. So we have to be transparent and open with those men and have those dialogues and really be able to have the impact if we really want to. So um, tonight, I think I'm gonna take one more question. Tonight we're just having a dialogue. It's just me, right? People send in questions, and I've come across people who ask me about no more hiding in the ministry and why I do what I do, and so I think I'm gonna answer one or two more questions. I know we're having some internet issues tonight for whatever reason. I don't know if it's on our side or what's what, but we're gonna press through it. So one of the questions that asks is that outside of your work with No More Hiding, what personal practices or hobbies help you maintain balance and authenticity in your own life? So one of the things we do is my wife and I, we love to travel, whether it's traveling abroad or whether it's just traveling locally. We love to experience and go out and see the world. Um, I still love driving, so I don't mind driving long distances to actually see this earth, to see the United States or what have you. I know flying to get me there quicker, but it's something about driving that I still enjoy doing while I can. Also, I'm a reader. We have a really nice library of books, and so many times we are traveling. When we go, we'll go to a bookstore and try to find those books that relate to our culture and our community. I love to bowl. I'm a member of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. I'm also a member of uh, Chris On Masonic Lodge, which is J. Gaston 18. And so try to surround myself with black men. And so those are some of the things that I do to try to maintain balance. I'm heavily involved in our local ministry. The work that I do with men and really surrounding myself with really good men is important to me. I'm thankful that I have a lot of, not a lot, but I have some really good male mentors who are older than I am, and so I can sit down and glean from them. I have some men who I think they're not perfect men, but they're very good men, and they're honest men, and so they also have to provide that balance for me in my life and help me to remain level-headed. My prayer life is very important to me. It's a critical component to any man. If a man has to have something that's greater than him, right? And then the last question: looking to the future, what are your goals for No More Hiding, and how do you envision the organization growing and evolving? And so we see this as a global organization. We had a chance to do some work in Africa. And so we see this as global because the issue of manhood is not just centered in St. Louis where we are physically, but it's a global issue. It's globally, it's in every culture, it's in every race, it's in every ethnicity. And so we envision this organization growing and evolving. Um, we're doing some things in the area of therapy and working with working with some CBT models. We would love to see um, some other things I won't put out just yet, but we're working on some other things that is going to come to a neighborhood or a community or a state, city near you. And so we see this growing. We it has so much it has so much potential to have an impact. And I was at a service many years ago. And while I was at that service many years ago, I told you all my higher power is Christ. And so, and while I'm praying, I remember hearing the voices and that voice telling me and encouraging me about the work that's going to be done with this ministry. And so I'm thankful for just having a foundation, but I do know that although, we sit and many times we're here every 2 weeks and it don't seem like it's a lot of individuals. We've been in places, we've been in other states and people walk up and be like, man, hey, no more hiding, right? I'm like, yeah. It's like, man, I watch you. I watch you when you come on your podcast or whatever the case is. I've seen you on LinkedIn. I've seen you on Facebook, on YouTube, and so although it doesn't always seem like seeds that are being sown or growing, we're thankful that we're faithful to this work and this work that's going to do. So we see the evolution of manhood. We believe that this period is is just right to have an impact on men, on different generations, different age groups, and things of that nature. So yeah, so tonight was just a discussion. It was just answering a couple questions that were related to no more hiding and our origin. Just kind of a time to just have some conversation just with me, and to spend some time just really talking to those who sent in the questions, who are asking the questions, things of that nature. So we appreciate you. We appreciate you supporting No More Hiding. We appreciate you in any time that you catch us, anytime that you watch us. I'm believing that even greater things are going to come out of No More Hiding and the work that we're doing here. And if you're looking for someone to come in and speak, you're looking for someone to come in and do some classes, if you're looking for someone to do some leadership development or what have you, feel free to reach out to us. You can reach us at www.nmhformen.org, or you can reach us at nmhformen@gmail.com. Feel free to follow us on any of our social media sites. You can follow us on our YouTube page, which is in No More Hiding, the number 4 men. That's No More Hiding, the number 4 men on our YouTube page. Please subscribe to our channel. We're going to have some great things coming in this next year. We're already making some plans. We're also going to be branching off and doing some other things related to supporting men. And you're going to see some initiatives that are going to be launched in different regions, in different states outside of the St. Louis region. So thank you so much for being here tonight. We appreciate you. We appreciate your support. We appreciate you always following us and being present. That means a lot to us. So until 2 weeks from now, be blessed. My manhood, come on.